The story is titled Alexander Bunyip and the Swagman by Michael Salmon. Alexander Bunyip and the Swagman. Alexander the Bunyip wound his alarm clock and settled down for a good night's sleep. A strange smell wafted into his cave on the cool evening breeze. Alexander sniffed. What a good smell! Alexander followed the smell until he came to a campfire. There sat a swagman, and he was eating a large chocolate cake. Alexander was hungry. I'll make some spooky noises to scare him away. It usually works. Alexander tiptoed behind some trees and made a noise rather like a steam train. The swagman took no notice, so Alexander tried again. Come out and show yourself, Bunyip. I know you're there, shouted Ron the swagman. Alexander stepped forward. Have some cake, said Ron. The cake was soon eaten. Alexander loved this new taste. Is there any more? He asked eagerly. At the bakery back in town, replied Ron. Let's go and get some more. Ron led the way to town. It was very dark. Everyone was asleep. Ron and Alexander crept quietly into the bakery. They peeked inside. Alexander couldn't believe his eyes. There were cakes and biscuits of all sizes and colours. What delicious food, mumbled Alexander as he gobbled a cream sponge. Best tucker I've had for years. Ron was eating 2 finger buns at once. It's getting light, Alexander, said Ron. The baker will soon be here to start work. We stayed behind with the food and gave Mr. McLoaf, the baker, the shock of his life. A monster eating my cakes! Help! He shouted. And he rushed out of the bakery. Wake up, shouted Mr. McLoaf as he hammered on the door of the police station. A tissue! We don't deal with monsters, said the sleepy constable Sneeze. That's a council matter. Mr. Scribble, the town clerk, couldn't help either. A monster, you say? We'd better wake up his worship, the mayor. He always knows what to do. Was fast asleep, dreaming about what he was going to do when he became Prime Minister. We shall all proceed to the bakery to view this supposed monster, he said. They all stared through the window. Alexander was still eating. It is rather big, your worship, whispered the town clerk. The constable stifled a sneeze. The news spread fast and the townspeople gathered to watch. The mayor was worried. An odd-looking man stepped out of the crowd. I'm Professor Ron from the university, and I'm an expert on monsters. Let me see it. Why are you wearing that funny beard, Ron? Asked Alexander, eating his 14th jam roll. Alexander, you have to leave here, said Ron. Alexander kept on eating and took no notice. Ron spoke to the mayor. Your worship, this is a rare and dangerous Australian bunyip. It gets very cross when it is hungry. We must feed it plenty of cake. Mrs. Scribble, the town clerk's wife, baked a bunch of her famous lamingtons. I do hope the bunyip likes these. I've never cooked for a monster before. Mrs. Sneeze cooked 2 large trays of date scones. A tissue, sneezed the constable. Please don't sneeze near my scones, dear. I do hope Professor Ron knows what he's doing. The mayor's wife made pavlova. I'm sorry, you can't have some, she said to her husband. It's all for that bunyip. Ron took all the food to Alexander. He was still eating and he was getting very, very fat. The bunyip was eating all the food in town. A tissue! Why don't we put him in that old circus cage? Suggested Constable Sneeze. That seemed like a good idea. Ron, I feel sick, moaned Alexander. I've eaten too much. That's bad, Alexander. You'll have to move. They're going to put you in a cage. Leave the cage here at the front door, ordered the mayor. Constable, go inside and push that bunyip out. A tissue. Yes, your worship, said the worried policeman. Push, Ron, push, groaned Alexander. He was so large that he was stuck tight in the doorway. I'm pushing as hard as I can, muttered Ron. Crash! The whole back wall of the bakery fell over, right on top of Constable Sneeze. Run for it quickly, yelled Ron. Alexander and Ron didn't stop until they reached the billabong. They were both exhausted. Alexander had his very large tummy. That food was very nice, Ron, but I think I'd rather have billabong weed and gum leaves after all. I think that would be a lot safer, Alexander agreed, Ron. Let's have some billy tea.